When we eat animals like cows and pigs, our current food production system makes it so that over half the nutrition that these animals could provide never even makes it to our plates. Hi, I'm Dr. Bill Schindler, food archaeologist, chef, and director of the Eastern Shore Food Lab at Washington College. The modern way that we approach eating animals is the most unhealthy, unethical, and unsustainable it has ever been. Society is pretty much just focused on eating meat, which is actually one of the least nutrient-dense parts of the animal. But unfortunately, our current food production system prioritizes it while wasting the more useful and nutritious parts. Today, we're going to take a look at how animal consumption has ended up this way and what we can try to do to fix it. Before we get into how things are now, it's crucial to understand the role that animals played in our dietary past. Our ancestors began eating meat almost 3.5 million years ago. Prior to this time, our ancestors were eating leaves, fruits, vegetables, and insects. But when they invented this tool, it completely changed the game. This tool, the Lemekwe tool that dates to almost 3.3 million years ago, was a tool probably responsible for most of the butchering that was taking place at that time. Now, our ancestors weren't hunting at 3.5 million years ago. In fact, they were scavenging, and this is the tool that allowed them to do that. Our first introduction to meat was when a predator would kill an animal in the African savanna and then gorge themselves on the most nutrient-dense, bioavailable parts of that animal: the blood, the organs, and the fat. After this, our ancestors would scavenge the parts that were left behind: the meat and the marrow. What's really interesting is that the introduction of meat into their diet did not significantly change their body or brain size. Everything changed around 2 million years ago when our ancestors first started to hunt. When they started to hunt, they climbed to the top of the food chain and became the predators themselves. They no longer had to rely on just the leftover bits of meat, but instead had first access to the most nutrient-dense and bioavailable parts of the animal: the blood, the fat, and the organs. And the influx of such incredible nutrition into their diets supported massive body and brain growth, and essentially made us human. From this point forward, up until recent times, almost all of our dietary changes increased our connection to our food, the nutrient density, safety, and bioavailability of the foods in our diets. Technologies just like this catapulted us to the top of the food chain, and this continued to progress over millions of years until about 15,000 years ago, at the beginning of the agricultural revolution, when the focus of technologies began to change. We went from diets that had hundreds of different plants and dozens of different animals to a diet solely focused on a few annual grasses. Technologies are now focused on things like privilege or wealth or convenience. And these very technologies that used to empower us and nourish us are ripping the power away from us and have resulted in humans being the most unhealthy they have ever been. Since most of us today no longer hunt, we don't have first access to the animals that we're consuming. We are incredibly distanced from our food, where it comes from, and how it's made. The modern food industry has complete control over how we think about food, even what we consider food to be. Because meat ships and stores a lot better than other parts of the animal, like organs or blood, the focus in the grocery stores, the focus on marketing is on meat. Because of that, we as consumers, when we even think about eating an animal, we almost only think about eating the meat. We've taken a step way too far back into the past. We now, as modern humans, have become scavengers once again. Most of us only have access to the least valuable part of the animal. This has resulted in a drastic increase in obesity, coronary heart disease, irritable bowel syndrome, and even diabetes. Our diets used to nourish us, but now the food that we eat is making us sick. Not many of us hunt, or forage, or butcher, or process, or ferment, or cook our own food. We don't even know the people that do. We don't directly know the farmer, or the abattoir, or the butcher, or even the people that have placed the meat on the grocery store shelves. At best, we might know the person that checks us out at the cash register. Because of this disconnect, we don't rely on our senses any longer. We no longer smell our food, or look at our food, or feel our food, or taste our food for the purposes of trying to understand whether it's a food that we should actually consume and put into our bodies. There are some incredible ranchers and farmers that are part of an ethical, sustainable, and nourishing food system. However, most of the meat we eat today is not coming from them. Huge factory farms have popped up all over the world that place animals in unhealthy, unethical conditions, kept alive with drugs, and are genetically engineered to grow so fast that their bodies can't even keep up. These animals are slaughtered en masse in a system that results in the meat making it to the grocery store shelves, while the rest of the animal is used for non-food purposes, or worse, even goes to waste. Factory farming that focuses on quantity over quality has rewritten the food chain. It is no longer about the individual family, it is now about big corporations. By focusing on meat, and worse, lean meat, we've excluded high-quality animal fats and incredibly nutritious offal from our diets. In fact, it has also changed our conscience about what a truly healthy diet is. The modern world is deathly afraid of fat. However, animal fat, high-quality, nutritious, bioavailable animal fat, have literally helped fuel our evolutionary changes for millions of years. There is no fur, hair, feathers, scales, or even skin in our home kitchens anymore. Most of us don't even use bones or fat in our cooking. This has powerful ramifications for our children, who never get the opportunity to make the connection between life, animal, death, and the food on their plates. If we don't do something about this now, all of these problems are going to continue to get worse, the food system is going to fail, and the future of our species is in jeopardy. However, it's not too late. Changes that you can make on an individual level can result in the global change that we need. We need to reintroduce small local farms into our communities. We need to bring back butchers into each and every town. And we need to empower home chefs to butcher and cook from scratch for their families. These changes remove the links from our food chain and reconnect us with our food and where it comes from in incredibly powerful ways. It places the power and responsibility of feeding our families back into our hands and removes that control from the modern food system. If all you do now is buy chicken breasts from the grocery store, buy a whole chicken, bring it home, butcher it in front of your family, let them see skin, make bone broth from the bones, make pate from the liver, cook the heart, and eat it. If you already buy a whole chicken from the grocery store, instead go to the farmer's market, or even better yet, go to the farm and meet the farmer. If you already do that, buy a half a pig, bring it home, and put it on your table. I'm serious. It is not disgusting. It is not bloody. It is real. Take that pig and make bacon. Make sausage. Render the fat. Make pork cracklings and pork rinds. Having this connection will more than double the amount of nutrition that we get from each animal, allow us to directly see and appreciate the consequences of our actions, and put us all in a more ethical and sustainable frame of mind.